Welcome everybody. See slightly cloudier skies above Nottingham this week. Summer is slowly drawing to an end, but we've got lots to look forward to because it is fight night on Saturday night. There is the outside of the Albert Hall. We will be hearing from these two at this afternoon's press conference, Maxi Hughes and Kid Galahad. An unlikely pairing at £135. Kid Galahad spent the best part of 20 years getting to the top of the mountain at 126 and a huge upset, one of the upsets of the year, against Kiko Martinez. And just like Lee Selby, Darren, making, I think, the right move to skip 130 and go to 135, because if you're struggling that badly when you're the size he is at 2'6", £4 probably isn't going to give you what you need, is it, going forward?
No. And I'd done the face-off yesterday and I was listening to what Barry had to say, and he was just, you know, the weight hurt. It really struggled, and the opportunity come. He feels strong. Been doing lots of sparring with bigger lads, and we know Barry can punch. And I feel he is one of those fighters that will carry that power up through the weights. Very quick, good reflexes, and I think he'll maintain those at lightweight. But he's in there with a guy, the Cinderella man, Maxi Hughes, is on a great run of form. Yeah. Just get, you know. I remember watching, obviously Martin J. Ward was part of Tony Sim's stable, and watching him fight Maxi and beating Maxi, and I thought, well, you know, it's probably going to be it for Maxi. And the way he's come back since it was the Liam Walsh.
He's had to rebuild
Ryan
five
Walsh.
times on the small, Ryan Walsh. He's had to have 5 fights on the small hall circuit and rebuild, but he has done. He's got himself in a brilliant position, and he will be entering our main event as one half of it against Kid Galahad on Saturday night. Plenty more action to come on the bill on Saturday. We're going to hear from everybody on the undercard right now. All the fighters are sat down, so without further ado, let's hand you over to Eddie Hearn.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Nottingham, fresh off the back of a huge event in Las Vegas last week. Canelo Alvarez holding on to his undisputed super middleweight world championship against Gennady Golovkin at the T-Mobile. We're here in Nottingham. Of course, an event that was supposed to be headlined by Lee Wood against Maurizio Lara. And it's horrendous when you get that call, especially when you'd sold nearly 9,000 tickets. The card, as we still see, tremendous card from top to bottom. And then all of a sudden you get the text from Ben Davison to let you know that Lee Wood has torn his bicep. At that time, it's a very difficult decision. Obviously, you have to offer refunds. A lot of the tickets come back. The event is not what you first sold it to your broadcaster with on DAZN, but you have a tremendous roster of fighters that have trained and prepared hard to fight, to achieve their dreams, to win world championships, and to get paid. And we all know that boxing is a sport where you only get paid when you fight. And there's a lot of people on these two tables that I didn't quite have the heart to tell them that the fight was no longer happening, because people have worked hard for this opportunity. As I said, people were attempting to achieve their dreams and legacy on Saturday night as well. And we still have a fantastic card, of course, with these two big main event fights as well. The Yorkshire Derby in the lightweight division, Maxi Hughes, I guess no longer the Cinderella man, now the headliner. Exactly, against the former IBF featherweight world champion Kid Galahad as well, and a brilliant female fight as well. Terry Harper bidding to become a 2-division world champion against a female fighter that's on a tremendous run, of course, world champion Hannah Rankin as well on this card. So much great young talent that we'll speak to on the table beneath us, of course, live on DAZN around the world this weekend. Rhiannon, we'll start with you. We were joking earlier about Anthony Crolla moaning about the hard work that he's been putting in. You have too, obviously, and a big fight for you on Saturday. Former world champion contender, Adina Kiss, obviously had a very close fight with Cindy Serrano as well, and a big step up in terms of levels for you at the weekend.
Yeah, I know. When he put that tweet out, I was like, get the violins out. I'm the one making weight. You don't even have to make weight anymore. All he's bothered about is his hair. But no, I think it'll be a really good learning fight for me. You know, she's got a lot of experience. She's been in with Amanda Serrano, Michaela Mayer, and, you know, I'm just looking to put on a really good performance this weekend.
The experience for you travelling and fighting abroad was a great one last time out, and, you know, a chance for you to get that experience under your belt as you go through the ranks. But this fight, a step up, and really puts you in a position to move into championship fights in 2023.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that me, Paul and Ant are really looking forward to next year, stepping up and hopefully looking to fight for some titles. So it's just a really exciting time. And I think going over to Spain and dealing with the adversity of that fight, with everything that went on, I think it puts me in good stead.
Looking forward to seeing action on Saturday, as we are with Mohamed Samir as well. Mohamed, opportunity knocks when, unfortunately, Nico Olivia has had to pull out of the fight with injury as well. Lee Eaton came on, we said we've got a very exciting prospect, it's going to sell bundles of tickets, of which you've done as well. Big opportunity to fight on a big platform at the weekend.
First of all, I'd like to thank yourself and Matchroom for giving me this opportunity. My manager Lee Eaton for sorting everything out. I literally got the call last Friday and I got the tickets on Monday evening and we've already got about 150 sold. So we've got a lot of people coming down on Saturday and they'll be making a lot of noise, and I've always dreamt of being on cards like this, and yeah man, it's a dream come true kind of thing, and I'm ready to perform on Saturday night.
What should fans on DAZN be looking out for from you? Obviously you won't be known to the masses yet, but chance to make a statement. Young man to your left, Janae Boston, who just featured on a show, caught everybody's eye, now signs a pro deal, boxing on all our big shows now, and really the opportunity lies ahead for you as well.
Yeah, 100%. I've got an exciting style, I come to fight, and yeah man, Saturday night I'm going to show everyone what I'm about.
Look forward to seeing action to the young man to your left, Janae Boston. Watched your last time out. Every now and again you just see a fighter, you think, this kid's special. I mean, I didn't want to tell Grant Smith at the time, but he's been talking about you for such a long period of time. After the fight, he came over and he said, and he was ill in that fight as well. And I thought, blimey, if he was ill in that fight, this kid's got plenty of levels to get to as well. Janae, back in action, quick turnaround now, officially part of the Matchroom Boxing and DAZN team. Been a spring in the step lately, ready to go to work again.
Well, I did warn you, Ed. I did tell you, look, get your pen and paper out because you'll be signing me after this. And here we are. Look, I'm not surprised to be here, but I'm privileged. Look, end of the day, I've got big things I'm planning, and I'm going to make the most of this opportunity. And I'm looking on putting a big performance on Saturday and carrying on forward with my career.
I think when you look at a young fighter's development, you've got the two. Obviously you're a good amateur as well, but because of your age as well, didn't go on and progress at the levels of three gentlemen to your left as well, with Chev and Sol and Cyrus as well. But you look at those guys and know that sometimes you have to do a little bit more to impress people. You're 2-0 now. You have a tough fight against another 2-0 fighter at the weekend, but I know you want to move quickly as well, but still very young in the game and plenty of learning to do.
Well, it'll be 2-1 once I'm done with him, but look, at the end of the day, I'm going to do as I'm told. Grant, S-Jam Boxing, they're all going to look after me. I'm in good hands, so I'm going to make the most of these things, and come Saturday night I'm going to put on a good performance.
Well, you were fantastic last time. I'm sure you will be on Saturday as well. Chev Clark, talk about the Olympics, talk about the first fight on the road, talk about someone that wants to move quickly as well. A couple of great wins for you so far. Nottingham at the weekend as well, and a very tough fight for you, Chev, as well. Tom Dallas, our matchmaker, has given me plenty of notes of this card as well, and talks about this man giving top 15 world-ranked fighters problems, difficult, extremely tough, and exactly the kind of step up you feel you need.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. We're not here to hide behind, mediocre fighters. We want to step up and show the people what the excitement's about.
Obviously, domestically, I know you're going to get asked this question a lot, and you talk about how many great fights there are for you at British, Commonwealth, European level from Brits as well. But how far do you feel like you are away from those fights? I know you believe you have the ability to beat those guys now, but just a case of racking the rounds up. You've had a couple of quick performances as well, and just a case of getting in there and making sure that you get the experience under your belt.
Yeah, you need the experience, and I don't come expecting to knock people out, but as and when it comes in the fight, I'll take the opportunity. I'm sure you navigate me as I need to be navigated, and I'll handle it as it comes.
Forward to seeing action on Saturday. Solomon Dakers, one man that's really feels like you're ready to come off the leash and stepping in against any opponent that's really offered to you. I think when I look back now at that Sokolowski fight, that was a fight and such an impressive victory that perhaps you didn't actually get the credit for, that you were willing to take that fight so early in your career, won virtually every round for that fight as well. You must feel like you're right there now, knocking on for championship fights.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, that Sokolowski fight was, for the fights he had after me, he caused problems, so, he was still right amongst it, so it was a good win, but I moved on. My last fight was a tough test as well in July, and I'm just got to stay active, and now I'm moving up to 10 rounders and kicking on to the next level, like you say, just letting me off the leash.
10 rounders quite early in your career as well. I know you coasted through the 8 rounds with Sokolowski as well, but you're going to get to a point where, you know, these certainly British titles, Commonwealth titles are not actually that far away for you, and keeping nice and active as well.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I'm not trying to hang around too much. I believe, you know, I've got great stamina for a heavyweight. I train very hard. So let's go to the 10 rounders and then push on to the title fights. That's what we're in boxing for, is to win titles. So let's get ready for those titles, and, you know, the next 12 to 18 months, that's when we're going to be knocking on the door for, you know, bigger titles then.
Exciting times for you. We talk about titles. Cyrus Patterson obviously needed another title fight for this card when Lee Wood fell through. You've jumped straight up, straight in. First title for you at the weekend. Very, very tough opponent. I see his last victory in his last fight was against, I think, a 22-1 fighter. He had a very controversial loss to Florian Marku as well. This is well beyond the levels you've been boxing at, but feel that you're ready for this challenge.
Definitely, I'm more than happy to step up. Firstly, I just want to express my gratitude for making the fight happen. I know that recently my camps and that haven't been smooth sailing anyway, with fights falling through, and we've had a bit of disappointment as well with the area title. I think we've tried to make that 3 or 4 times now, and that's not happened. So this opportunity came, and I'm a firm believer that the opportunity wouldn't have presented itself if I wasn't ready to receive it. So on Saturday, I'm taking the title.
I guess one of the concerns is that once you make this step against an opponent with this kind of record, there is really nowhere to go backwards. I mean, this is a step well above what you talked about, which was area level. This is a step well above English title level. You know, all of a sudden you start winning intercontinental and regional belts. It's a pretty quick succession. You know, you can't really step back towards 8 rounds again. It's championship fights all the way through for you now.
No, I'm happy with that. I've been sparring 16 rounds in the gym and stuff with 80 kilo, 85 kilo lads. So I know I'm more than capable of it, and all my years in JB, I mean, I'm always prepared to fight anyone. It's just onwards and upwards, and I want to keep pushing on. I don't want to be stuck in that comfort zone for too long, or at all, really. I want to feel like I'm getting ready to fight, you know what I mean, and be switched on. So, and I think this fight has done that for us.
Good. Well, it's exciting for us to see some of our best young prospects in real tests this Saturday. We go to the top table, 2 brilliant fights which I can't wait for. So much to talk about, and even as a fan, I've got questions I want to ask. Terry Harper, I see you sitting up there with your chocolate digestives and, you know, smiling, and I said to Kid Galahad earlier about, you know, you're 2 fighters that probably dread the Thursday and Friday of fight week. Back now, 2 divisions higher for Kid Galahad, more than 2 divisions, 3, 4 divisions higher for you as well. Chance to become a 2-division world champion, and certainly you and Steffi were 2 of the fighters that I didn't want to have to tell this fight was off. Relieved to be underway. Huge support coming for you at the weekend, and ready to try and become a 2-division world champion.
Yeah, I'm excited. First time, I'd say this is the first camp. I've really enjoyed it, and not just because of the weight and stuff, it's everything else. And I feel like I've got my chance now to become world champion again, and I'm really hungry for this, and I've got the fire burning, and I know getting the win on the weekend, how many more doors that'll open up. So I'm excited to get out there on Saturday night.
Obviously 24 pounds above your original world championship fight card. I mean, I remember when we put this fight forward for sanction from the British Boxing Board of Control and the WBA, they don't really realise how big you are and how tough that weight was to make. And their first question was, are you sure? You know, is this safe, really? You're moving up so many different divisions. And, you know, Hannah talked about that as well, the dangers of this fight as well. You believe that you're going to have the resilience and the toughness to hang with big, strong 154-pounders. I mean, you've seen Hannah's box, I think, up at super middleweight before as well. That is the disadvantage for you going into this fight, the weight, or do you not see it like that?
I feel like a lot of people don't realise that I walk around naturally at 10, 12, 11 stone. So me cutting down 24 pounds to make the super weight, that was reckless. And I was fighting world-class fighters, underfueled, fatigued and unhappy. So when we got this opportunity to go up so many weight divisions, I just know I feel comfortable at this weight, and I know that I can go in there on Saturday night and handle my own.
Seen a slightly different side to you as well through the face-offs and everything, just building in confidence, and, you know, obviously a few words backwards and forwards, some league sparring footage and stuff like that, but you're holding your own and you're ready for battle with Hannah at the weekend.
Yeah, I've matured as a fighter over the years. I've experienced a lot of things, and I think Hannah believes I'm very quiet and timid and shy, but I'm here to show everyone that I have got my own voice, and it's not Steffi and it's not Andrew on my Twitter and stuff. I can stand up for myself, and I guess I've just got the fire burning.
Hannah, welcome. Seen so many times you on the other side of the poster, obviously, when we did the fight with you and Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall. Gone away, done brilliantly well, captured those 2 world championships as well, and a really intriguing fight. You know, people talking about, is this going to work out for Terry Harper? Can she hang at 154 pounds? But what she is facing is a very strong world champion and someone that's full of confidence as well.
Absolutely. Firstly, I want to thank yourself and Matchroom for allowing me to defend my world titles on this card. I'm really excited about fighting in Nottingham. I hear people here love to watch good fights, so I'm really looking forward to it. I don't believe Terry is big enough to be in this weight division, and you know, she's going to find that out on Saturday night. I'm a true 154er, I'm a WBA IBO world champion, and I'm just building in my strength and my development as a fighter. So yeah, I'm looking forward to putting a show on Saturday.
What do you think? I know you've done a lot of punditry work as well, you've got a great boxing brain. Moving up to that weight division for Terry, some may feel that it's not a natural division for her to fight in as well. Do you expect her to be the same fighter that she would be at 135 pounds, the same speed, more power, more punch resistance perhaps as well, or how do you analyse the fight?
So, you know, obviously moving up those weight classes, that there's a big step up there. I don't think she will be the same fighter because, you know, things change when you add weight to the frame. You know, that's just how it is. You know, I'm expecting the best version of Terry Harper though on the night. She's a former world champion for a reason. I've got a lot of respect for her and her team. But yeah, like I said, I don't think she'll be the same fighter up at 154.
And finally, as well, I know you've been through a lot to get to this stage. I know you're very tough, not prepared to let those go as well. But the divisions become very exciting now. You talk about the super fights, you know, you talk about obviously Baumgardner against Mayer, Taylor Serrano, Shields against Marshall as well. But there's another one brewing, obviously with Tasha Jonas doing well and unifying the division. Could end up, obviously Decarie as well, but could end up with a huge undisputed fight. No room for error for you at the weekend. You know how hard you've worked and you can't afford to let these go now.
Absolutely. You know, there's some very exciting fights out there, and like you said, a unification with Tasha's obviously on the cards. It's one of those things where it just fuels my fire for the fight night on Saturday, and it just shows like myself how much I really want to do well on Saturday. I only see my arm being raised, you know. So, but those big fights will have to wait until Saturday's done. That's my main focus right now.
Well, big fight first. Hannah Rankin against Terry Harper, IBO, WBA, light middleweight world title. The IBO lightweight title on the line here. The Yorkshire Derby. We're going to go to Team Galahad firstly. Remember back, Dom, to the Kiko Martinez fight. You know, we always knew that it was a struggle for Kid Galahad. People talked about, you know, the weight, whether that played a part in the Kiko Martinez fight. He completely dominated that fight until he got hit with that first right hand. It was a devastating defeat. Obviously, the Castaneda fight fell through and he moves up to 135 pounds. You're confident that that's the right decision? He looked extremely happy in the hotel earlier. Then he might not be looking as happy if he was making 126, but a good fight, a tough fight, and one that could open a lot of doors in the lightweight division.
Yeah, you know, it's I don't think £4 would ever have been enough of a you know, headroom for Barry. And I think a lot of fighters who come from 9 stone, they may have one fight at super feather, but they tend to end up at lightweight, you know, a good £9 heavier, because it was always a struggle. It was a struggle for years, but when you're in that world championship position, you're champion, you can't really turn down fights. You've got to take what comes. That's your bargaining power. And, you know, he still had fighting in Martinez. You know, he proved that against Warrington, broke his jaw, massive puncher. And, you know, Barry was blinding that fight easily and then got caught. And, you know, and you can't take you off your ball. But the resistance really to them kind of shots probably wasn't there. And I'm going to see on Saturday night, you know, he's saying that it's a better weight class. You know, Maxie's a bigger guy. You know, Barry's never had a problem ever taking a shot. And I do believe it was totally down to the dehydration and that weight making process, what kind of, you know, won it for Martinez plus the big right hand. So we'll see a different fighter on Saturday. You know, it's going to be a more hydrated, powerful Kid Galahad and back to his usual ways. So it's going to be an exciting fight. You know, Max is a good fighter. He's come good over the last couple of years, and you know, it's his title to defend, but we're here to take it, and hopefully we do.
How do you see the fight playing out, you know, without giving a game plan away? Two guys that, you know, have over the years liked to counterpunch a little bit and box technically as well, but I've got the feeling it might not play out like this. Obviously, from Barry's point of view, absolutely must win. And Kid Galahad as well, probably want to put the pressure on to what he will feel will be the smaller man.
Yeah, he can't take any chances, and he can't leave anything, you know, to doubt, and he's got to go out there and put it on Maxie and kind of put him in his place. You know, Maxie's a good little boxer. He likes to box and move. He can fight when he has to. We've seen in his previous fights. But like I say, yeah, it's the last chance saloon for Barry, and he's got to make an impression if he wants to move on and get the big fights. I know Maxie was looking forward to fighting Ryan Garcia, but I think everybody knows in that fight he was only going as an opponent and get the payday. It's a bit of a different proposition now because he's in with another British prospect, and there's pride on the line. So there's got to be a bit more fight in him. So you know, it's going to be a good fight, but Barry's got to win this fight, or that's the end of him. And same for Maxie, really. He's had good bursts. He's lost a few, but I would think, you know, for either fighter, whoever loses, it's really the end of the road.
Thanks, Don. Before we go to Kid Galahad, we go to Maxie's rep, Steffi Ball. Steffi, a bit of a strange situation now for Maxie, really, where he's kind of defending the throne, not just this throne, but kind of like the opportunity to be in one of those Ryan Garcia fights, or the kind of fight that really changes your life forever financially and from a legacy point of view as well. And probably a little bit more pressure than he's ever had in his career, because a lot of the time we talk about the Cinderella story and so forth, and now he can't really afford to lose, because in this game of snakes and ladders, it takes him too far away from those opportunities.
It's been he's probably had the best rise in British boxing over the last couple of years, as Maxie. Very unexpected rise, some fantastic wins, and some fantastic wins that he wasn't supposed to win, and obviously the bookies have got him underdog again, and he relishes that. But this fight's been made, people kind of not aware of it, probably 8-10 weeks ago. So Maxie has been on the ball, like training for Barry all this time, and then we've had that many things chucked at us on the way, with opportunities, potentially the Garcia, then Linares popped up. But to give him his due, he stay fully focused. He's always been sparring southpaws and things. And when this fight came, I mean, it did came, and I can't remember if me and Dom had a little bit of banter on Twitter about it. I straight away, it's a fight I never thought of, because obviously Barry's always been a featherweight, and I think it's a great fight. And you see a little bit of negativity with two counter punches, it's going to be a ball fest. I don't think this is going to be a ball fest whatsoever. I think both of them have got a lot of pride. It's a Yorkshire derby. There's obviously niggle, and me personally, I think it's a fantastic fight, and one that I'm looking forward to as a fan, not just as Max's manager. Very intriguing. You've got Barry coming up the two weight divisions, but he is now coming up to Max's, who's probably in the prime of he's not showing no decline. His last fight was fantastic. He's not dropped around in his last two fights. So I always say a confident fighter is very hard to beat, and Maxie is full of confidence. He's a big, strong lightweight. This is his division, and he's not going to want to let that crown go, because like you say, Eddie, Maxie Hughes win over Barry does warrant a super fight, surely, a big fight where it could be life-changing, and that's the position he's in, and he understands that, and that's why he wants this fight. I know yesterday Barry mentioned that he didn't want that fight. Maxie, out of 5 years of managing, Maxie is probably and the easiest fighter to manage. He just says, yeah. Can you get me a bit more money? Yeah. Can you get me a bit? And that's just how he will fight anyone. So he's here, the fight's done, all the talk's over, and I think everybody's going to be in for a fantastic fight.
I know you haven't contradicted yourself yet, but you could do it sitting as Terry Harper's trainer-manager as well, of her moving up, 3 or 4 divisions, and Kid Galahad moving up 2 divisions. As much as it might play a part in Terry's fight, Do you see that playing a part in this particular fight as well, coming off the knockout?
No, I said that to Maxi doesn't either. I think Barry's going to be better. I really do. And Dom's one of the best trainers in the world. He knows what he's doing, and he will be more rejuvenated. He probably will be stronger, and he probably will have a lot more energy. I've been with fighters, and Terry's one of them, where they're struggling to make weight, and not just McDonald twins over the years. A number of fighters. I've done it with Robbie Barrett, who boxed, and it would in a weight-making sport, and some people who are not in boxing don't realise how fatigued fighters become, but they're still having to grind it out because they're world champion and they've got to make them weights. I think Barry's going to be a better fighter. I really do. But Max is ready for that, and I think it's going to be a better fight for that.
Thanks, Steffi. Barry, obviously, sometimes it would be me selling the fight, saying, you know, if you lose, it could be the end of the road, but your own trainer's done it because he's very honest with you. Listen, and I kind of feel like you've put that pressure on yourself as well.
I always put that pressure on myself every single fight. I've just got a underdog mentality. You know, every fight for me is do or die. That's my mentality. And, you know, Saturday night I've got to go in there and I've got to do a job on him. You know, and I'm going to do a job on Maxie Hughes. And I just can't wait. You know, this new weight, I'm just feeling fresher, not struggling to make the weight, and I just can't wait.
It was almost a year ago now, since the defeat to Kiko Martinez. Just one of the most shocking things I've seen in terms of turnarounds for a fight. How long did it take you to get over that defeat? Because you must have been kicking yourself. You were completely dominating the fight. You couldn't win a round. Well, and then just out of nowhere, you know, the world comes crashing down and you lose your world championship.
It's boxing, and Eddie. That's what it's about, innit? It's boxing. That's what happens. You know. Just went back to the drum. I went back into the gym. I remember messages during you said to me, "Oh, just go on holiday, have a break." I went straight back into the gym, just cleared my mind and just sat down and just thought about where did it go wrong. And you know, I know where it went wrong. Went and adjusted it. And on Saturday night, I'm gonna go in there and do a number on Maxie Hughes, and you're gonna see.
A lot of people talking about, as I said, the styles of this fight, but a lot of people also saying, as Steffi did there, I think it'll be a really entertaining fight because you can't afford to find a way to have a close fight with Maxie Hughes and coast through. You've got to be all action, and you should have a much better tank for doing so. How's the confidence coming off that defeat? I saw the head-to-head Maxie. I don't know whether it's mind games from Maxie or he was compassionate, but trying to put a little bit of doubt in there coming off that knockout if you are still the same fighter.
Well, listen, his friend Josh Warrington just got knocked out by Lara, and he went back on to win the world title, do you know what I mean? And that's it. It just, listen, it depends how you're built. You know, I think if he got knocked out of the way that I did, he probably would have been finished, but, you know, I'm a different gravy to him, and Saturday night he's going to see.
You talked about one of his early career defeats, or early now, but where you said that he asked his trainer to pull him out of the fight. Was that mind games from you as well, or you think, it's not really can you make him quit in this fight?
No, it's not mind games, it's the truth in it. Then the day I got knocked out by Kiko, and he asked his trainer to pull him out because he had a bloody nose, and that's the truth in it. You know, I'm not sugarcoating it, it's the truth, and that's it. You know, then I'd rather go out on my shield than tell my trainer to pull me out because I've got a bloody nose while I'm in a fight, and that just shows you his mentality.
Maxie, was it compassion yesterday in the head-to-head? I don't know, was it mind games? Is it putting a bit of doubt in Kid Galahad's mind if he's ready for you after that knockout? Do you think he can be the same fighter after that defeat?
Only Barry knows that. You know, we're only speaking to Terry yesterday about it. She had not as bad, and it were on the same night as well, wasn't it? With Baumgartner. She herself, she's exercised them demons in Nottingham in March. That's where, you know, I had a chat with Tony Bellew last night, and he says nobody gets to exercise them demons until you step back through the ropes and get it on chin with some 8-ounce gloves. So only then do you know if you've got over a defeat like that. And there were genuine compassion there. You know, nobody likes to see a fellow boxer go down as heavy as that. You know, it's not nice to see, is it, when paramedics are being rushed in? You know, it's, you know, we never think, as fighters, we never think that's ever going to happen. We just want to get in there, fight, and go home to his families. But when you do see that, you know, it is a bit worrying.
The boxing game is a game of snakes and ladders, and if you liken it to, you know, the business of moving a fighter to a game of poker, you know, you sort of turned up at the table, with 1 or 2 chips and ended up doubling up, trebling up, quadrupling up, then you're sitting there with a big chip stack, and the mentality changes at that point. You know, you came with nothing, now you're protecting something. We talked about the Ryan Garcia fight, he was DMing you all the time. We'd made the Jorge Linares fight, you accepted that fight, and now you're fighting Kid Galahad. Is there any part of you that the danger could be being a little bit flat in this fight because you thought you might get the Ryan Garcia fight, and now you're in a fight where kind of like the pressure's on you, maybe you're expected to win, but you know this is a really tough fight in itself?
I don't put pressure on myself in terms of like, oh, I've got to get through this fight because I can get them fights. It's the way I'm living my life, you know, my life outside of boxing. I've got 2 young kids who I absolutely adore, and being a full-time boxer, I'm around them more. So that's what I'm putting pressure on myself for, to continue the life that I'm living, being a full-time pro, being able to spend that time with my kids. You know, what comes after fights comes after them, you know, nothing's ever guaranteed. So you don't know what's going to come. So that's my motivation, is to continue being a full-time fighter and being the best dad to my kids.
And finally, you talked in the head-to-head as well about the standing on the feet and, you know, a little bit of holding as well. Expect a dirty fight in there tomorrow. I mean, I think this fight's going to, on Saturday, I think this fight's going to catch fire. I know desperately you both want to win, but by any means necessary, you see yourself being triumphant in this fight?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the run of form, the momentum's with me. But I'm underdog again, you know, it's something I'm used to, and it's just how I approach things anyway, regardless what bookies think or what people's opinions are. You know, me and my team, we're confident in what we're doing, and that's the most important thing. But yeah, more than confident that my hand gets raised, and still.
Well, big fight for both men's career, Yorkshire Derby. Maxie Hughes against Kid Galahad, IBO World Lightweight title. As we said, Hannah Rankin defends her IBO and WBA World titles against Terry Harper, plus Rhiannon Dixon, Cyrus Patterson, Sol Dakers, Chev Clark, Junaid Boston and Mohammed Samir as well. Big night of boxing, live and exclusive on DAZN all around the world this Saturday from the Nottingham Arena. We'll see you for the weigh-in tomorrow. We'll have head-to-heads up here now. Thank you.
Very interesting to hear Maxi Hughes' words there, and obviously you were in between the pair of them. Great job, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Hosting, I think, was that your first sort of hosting gig? Yeah.
I've learned from the best.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed you don't get too good, eh? Like, talking about there, Maxi showing genuine compassion for the way in which Galahad lost his world title after having, you know, fought so many years tooth and nail to win it. Did you get the sense there was genuine compassion? Do you think there was also a different element to his words as well?
Yeah, I mean, look, there was compassion there, no doubt. No doubt about it. But he's just planting that seed. He's reminding Barry that he got knocked spark out.
So trying to sow a little seed of doubt.
Of course, 100%. That's coming from an experienced fighter in Maxi there. He knows what he's doing, but I've no doubt he's a lovely bloke, as is Barry. He was compassionate. It must have been horrible to see. It was horrible for all of us to see. But he is just planting that seed, saying to him, remember, you got knocked out. You're up at lightweight now. There's a good chance I could do it.
Sol Dakers has just shoved Junaid Bostan out of that picture. I don't know whether they're friends or he just wants a picture with the 4 of them. Chev Clark on the left, Cyrus Patterson on the right. All 3 of them in action on Saturday
not bad
night.
Trio there.
No, not bad trio at all. We'll be kicking off proceedings at about 4:30. Mohammed Samir and Dale Arrowsmith will be doing battle. I think ring walks at 4:35. There is young Junaid Bostan signed for Matchroom a few weeks ago. We saw him a few weeks ago make his Matchroom debut, and we've heard lots of him from the likes of Sonny Edwards, who shares a gym with Dalton Smith. Grant Smith, of course, is coach. Very, very talented fighter, can whack a bit, switch, does the lot, and has got a lot of confidence too. So he'll be back out as well on Before the Bell, just after Rhiannon Dixon, who will be out for her 6th contest of her career on Before the Bell as well. So there's 4 on Before the Bell before we go to the live card. We think it's going to start with Cyrus Patterson, who you just saw. There is our chief support, and well, you wouldn't know that Terry Harper was the one coming up from 126. The gun show is out, Terry Harper, and I was speaking to Danny Wilson from Boxing Science, who of course does her nutrition and the S&C side of things, and how they've managed to get her up there. And he said she hasn't put on loads more muscle, because she was walking around at about 155 before she was making 126. He said it's just been about carrying the strength, the fitness, the lactic tolerance, being able to work harder and faster. Because you get to that point about 2 or 3 weeks out from a fight and you have to start tapering down, and it's about trying to hang on to as much as you can at a very depleted weight. Whereas I get the impression from Danny that we're going to see Terry all cylinders firing on Saturday. She's going to need it, as is that man who's been on a hell of a run of form, Maxi Hughes, but he is a very, very good fighter. Renewed, refreshed, even his eyes there, Darren, you can see he looks not like a fighter who we've seen in the last couple of years struggling at the weight.
And I mean, extremely full of confidence is Maxi with the run of form he's been on. And look, we've often, not very often, if ever, seen Kid Galahad looking like that, so close to a fight. He looks fresh.
And hear what Maxi said just at the press conference a few minutes ago. For those of you who missed it, he said, I spoke to Tony Bellew last night, and of course knows the difficulties of coming back from bad knockout losses. Adonis Stevenson, when he himself was very badly weight drained. I think that was at light heavyweight. And he said the only way to exercise that demon is to get back through the ropes, put the little gloves on, go to work, and if you survive and get through it, then it's a memory erased and you can move on. But not until that night has happened can you get over it, and that's the process that Kid Galahad's going to have to go through on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. You've seen it time and time again. It's what great champions are able to do, is right the wrong from the past. And tremendous talent, we know that. He's a very good fighter, and now at a more natural weight, but he's in there with somebody who's just on a great run of form and feels like he's unbeatable.
That'd be very, very interesting. Chevron Clarkson mentioned on the bill as well. Solomon Dakers in against Dominic Akinlade as well. So we'll see them in action too. 5 fights on the main bill starting at 7 o'clock. And here is Eddie Hearn, who has just come off Twitter, actually. Yeah. That was a busy night for you.
I was doing it during the presser.
Yeah.
All work is easy work.
All your training makes sense now.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for that.
Yeah.
Did you decide I'm just going to have a little bit of fun tonight, or did it just happen organically?
I was like, obviously, look, there's a lot of people with agendas. So basically what happens is a fight like that finishes, and even before the pay-per-view numbers are really collated globally, someone already knows a number that actually doesn't. So they feed this information into someone. The person that chose to report that was Dan Raphael, who, no disrespect to Dan Raphael, doesn't currently have a big credible outlet that would actually question those numbers, and I had to put him right. Then Leonard Ellaby pops up, and I had to just tell him, just sit back in your box, Leonard. And then who else piped up? Lou DiBella, and it was just, in the end, it was just a free-for-all. But it was me against the world, Chris, as always.
I thought you did quite well.
As I said, it's very flattering, and it's what actually drives me.
Yeah.
I know all these people want us to fail, so if they didn't, and everyone was just patting you back along the way, you'd probably get a little bit lazy. But, I enjoy people trying to end me. Do you know what I mean?
Fight one, marry one, cuddle one.
There's no winners there. I just saw you had a picture of Janae Bostan, who of course signed a few weeks ago. I know it was your first kind of glimpse of him up close on the last fight night. Impressed with the young man, and says all the right things outside.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of at the time hadn't signed him, so tried not to be too excited about it, because it ends up costing you more when you put pen to paper. But I couldn't help but have a little smirk on my face when I was watching him, because boxing is about excitement, and boxing is about fighters that you want to tune in and watch. And I feel like Janae Boston is that kid. He's very, very young. He's 2-0, but the angles and the movement and the punch power, I just think he's going to be in a lot of explosive fights. And I actually really enjoy taking a fighter that might not always have that pedigree, where a fighter comes in from GB and he's won Olympic silver and world gold, and he gets a fortune to sign on, and he's making outrageous money over 6 rounds. It's like sometimes the hunger can die quite quickly from those fighters. With Junaid, when I signed him, it genuinely meant the world, and he was like, I can't believe I got this opportunity. I won't let anyone down. I'm going to grab this with both hands. And that's like, that makes you feel good. And I want to give him loads of opportunities. He's got to perform and he's got to look good, and we've got to progress him at the right pace as well. But I think he's got bundles of talent. And Grant Smith, who is an outstanding trainer, has told me about him for a long time, as have people in the gym. And, I guess the only problem sometimes with a style like that is, does it work at all levels? Another fighter that had that kind of style and ability that failed to kind of progress beyond European levels might be like a Josh Kelly. That comes in and at a certain level looks sensational. Angles, 5 left hooks on the spin, and breezing through that levels, and then gets to European level or fringe world level, and just, Janae's got a long way to go. It's whether that style can progress him through those levels. But very exciting. And when you get a fighter that young, I don't think you can go wrong in bringing him to the stable.
Got 3 of the guys you mentioned, the kind of the GB squad members that didn't go to the Olympics. 3 of them on the card: Chev Clark, Sol Dakers. Sol Dakers, is he in line for an English title after Fabio Wardy?
Yeah, I mean, he had that, and obviously through injury that wasn't a possibility. But Sol, really, I don't think he's a million miles away from fighting even for British titles. Probably 2 or 3 fights, because when he boxed Sokolowski, I really don't feel like he got the credit, actually, for even accepting
very easy
that
work
fight.
of it, didn't he?
He did, and then from there, came back. He's got a good test this weekend as well. But once you start doing 10 rounds, there's only so many 10 rounds you can have, and he's not going to want to mess around. He's going to want to make as much money as possible and dive into championship fights, and it's a good test for him. Chev as well. Really, with Chev, it's just about activity, but this is a good fight for him. A guy that's actually boxed world level opposition and given them good competitive fights. He's talking about going in with the likes of like a Vasil Ducar in a fight or two's time. Saw him with good fights with Jordan Thompson. Listen, Cyrus Patterson's got a very tough fight at the weekend, because he's fighting a guy who's just come off a victory against a 22-1. He had a very controversial defeat to Florian Marku as well, and Cyrus has never boxed at that kind of level, because he's only had a couple of fights, and all of a sudden he's in with a guy that wants to win.
10 rounds.
Yeah, and I think it's a very, very dangerous fight. But again, these guys, when you look at Cyrus, the bad luck that he's had, with injuries, I think they get to a stage where they go, do you know what? Put me in. The problem is once you win against a guy like this with a record like this over 10 rounds, there's no moving backwards. There's no 8 or 6 rounders, and this is a level above area and English title and all that kind of stuff. So, but he's got the pedigree, and it's going to be a very tough fight for him.
Who would you have as the favourite in our chief support? Terry Harper going up nearly 30 pounds from where she was 18 months ago, but doesn't look the smaller fighter in the head-to-head, does she?
It's such a fascinating fight, because I really like Hannah Rankin, because she's really been slung in to all kinds of different opportunities and come up short. So she boxed Clarissa Shields on our show in America, got beat. She boxed Savannah Marshall on our show, got stopped. They're 2 elite fighters. She's improved a lot through those defeats, but she is someone that's boxed at, I think, 168 pounds and been up at super middleweight as well. So it's one thing walking around at that weight, and which Terry talks about, and eating yourself up to that weight, and it's another thing coming down to the weight and then hydrating, and I think it's going to be very difficult for Terry to weigh 154 pounds. I think she's going to be around 150 or 152. For Hannah Rankin, she might go into the ring at 164, 165 or those kind of numbers. She's definitely going to be I think the stronger fighter on the night. It's going to be interesting to see how the added weight will affect Terry's mobility and her movement. We see a lot often that a fighter will put on that bulk, and also Terry's legs as well, huge, and the punch resistance. Because I don't think at 130 her punch resistance was all that great. I mean, Baumgartner's a big puncher, but she looked shaky in that fight, boiling herself down to the weight. A lot is going to come down to the chin of Terry Harper in this fight, and if she can withstand the power of a big 154-pounder. And I think if she can, I think she's the favourite in the fight.
Is there, I know it'd be probably difficult for this fight to be made, but is there a carrot being dangled with a possible unification fight with Tasha Jonas?
It has to be. I mean, look, we did that fight at Fight Camp, you remember, one of the best fights we've seen. Those two, such a great fight in a draw. Tasha's done amazing now, unified at 154. Who'd have thought that the Tasha Jonas and Terry Harper could face off for an undisputed at 154? But there's also Decarie as well, the other world champion. But really, look, someone like Terry Harper, who is probably one of the nicest people you could ever meet. One of the reasons I didn't pull this show, because I just couldn't bear to tell her and Steffi Ball that they were out of work and there was no fight planned for them, maybe even this year. That fight could be undisputed, and I don't care, Sky, DAZN, wherever it lands, wherever we can get them the most money, let them both make money that will secure a beautiful life for them and give them a chance to become undisputed. Maybe we just go into a room with an envelope each, private purse bid, and say, this is what we're paying, and whoever wins, wins.
So
but
it sounds as if you've got Terry favourite going into this fight with Rankin.
I think she is, but there's a lot of unanswered questions because we just don't know. I mean, the unanswered questions are still there from the Baumgartner fight, let alone moving to 154 pounds. So she's got to answer the questions of, is she the same fighter after the Baumgartner defeat? And also answer the questions of, can she perform at 154 pounds with the same speed, with the same movement, and most importantly, with the same resilience? And because Rankin's not afraid to trade. Rankin will think to herself, I need to trade up in this fight. right? Terry's going to box and move, and she's a beautiful boxer. But Rankin will be saying, I need to walk her down and land one on her chin. Yeah. And I think Hannah thinks, if I land one on her chin, it's all over.
Yeah. Kid Galahad moving up 2 weights to face Maxie Hughes, who's been on as good a run as probably any domestic British fighter in the last 18 months, certainly since the pandemic. Does his momentum and the performances give you him as a slight favourite, or do we have to look at the body of work of Kid Galahad's and not write him off too much based on ultimately what was a brilliant shot from Kiko Martinez?
Yeah, you know, the difference in this fight now is, because I see it behind the scenes, Maxi Hughes has never turned down a fight, right? When I offered him the Kid Galahad fight, this was like 3 months ago, he was like, all right, he wasn't jumping through hoops. No one would jump through hoops to fight Kid Galahad. Is that because there was
the likes of Ryan Garcia, etc.?
Two things. One, we all know Kid Galahad's very good, and sometimes victory over him doesn't come with that much reward.
Doesn't look pretty,
right? Because he got knocked out in his last fight at featherweight. All of a sudden, you know, Maxi's going, hang on a minute, I'm fighting a guy that's got knocked out who's jumping up 2 divisions. I can't really win, can I? And he's thinking about Ryan Garcia, he's thinking about Jorge Linares. So Ryan Garcia reaches out to him on Instagram, they're DMing each other, we start semi-negotiating that fight. Then I make the Jorge Linares fight, and he's thinking, wow, I'm on top of the world here. I've got Garcia, I've got Linares, and then he lands Kid Galahad. So it's really about the mentality now to go in and do the job, because those fights with Linares and Ryan Garcia are all there for him if he wins. But it's just, you know, and I actually think this fight will be a very good fight, because I just feel like both guys can't afford to make it not a good fight. Like Kid Galahad cannot afford to mess around stepping on a feet, tie him up, let people talk negatively about it. I think he's got to come in here now and actually be aggressive in this fight.
If the one that turns up against Jazza Dickens turns up on Saturday, then Maxi Hughes in for a hell of a fight.
But Chris, he needs people after this fight, because one thing winning, but to have value, and we go back to Janae Boston, and people wanting to watch you fight, right? If he could go out and put a blistering performance on, let his hands go, make it exciting, all of a sudden, people want to watch Kid Galahad at 135. Maxi's kind of defending the throne, and he can't really afford, and he's got to stick it on him and test the chin out.
I think you're right, both have to look very good here.
And what an opportunity. Headlining the card, you know, who's supposed to be Wood against Lara, now they're headlining, they've got to entertain. You know, if you don't entertain, if you get an opportunity to headline a card and you're not involved in a good fight, or if you're in a stinker, you ain't getting a Ryan Garcia fight, and you're not getting a Jorge Linares fight, you're not getting his main event. So you've got to make a statement. That's the difficulty for Maxi, because he's probably thinking, I just got to win, mate. Like, and just, it's snakes and ladders, isn't it? Just keep going. Not really. You've got to look good.
If you're looking for those next fights, for sure, you have to look good, because they're not going to entertain you otherwise, are they? You mentioned Lee Wood. Will that fight happen again?
I want to make it happen. I mean, I couldn't believe in the first place that Lee Wood wanted that fight. You know, he thinks that Lara's a little bit overrated. You know, he's very dangerous, Maurizio Lara. And when we got the text that Lee had done his bicep, we were gutted. He says another week or two, I'll know how long I'll be out for. So potentially that fight could get made for December. You know, Santa Cruz and Vargas will unify probably in December. So really, he has to have that interim fight. Looks now that Josh Warrington will fight Lopez on December 10th. That's a really tough fight in Leeds. But look, if they both win, I'd rather skip the Santa Cruz fight and just make Wood against Warrington for a unified title if we can get hold of that super belt. So that's a really good fight. And, you know, it's funny, I still mad to think about the rise of Lee Wood. You know, from getting beat, and then from having that fight with Reece Mould for the British title, and then getting Kanzu, and everyone thought he had no chance, and winning that, and then beating Michael Conlon. You know, and like, you know, he's on a lot of money now. It's amazing how he's changed his life around. He deserves every penny. But he needs to get back in the ring. Lara's a dangerous fight, but he fancies it.
He got hurt in his last fight before he closed the show, didn't he, Lara? And there is vulnerability there. But okay, well, that'll be all to look forward to. And I have to ask you, any update on AJ?
Yeah, we received the contract a couple of days ago. It wasn't as we expected, but we've gone back and now it's getting to be as expected. So it's very positive. We're not saying anything negative. They're not saying anything negative.
You're surprised at how good the dialogue is and how positive it is?
I think that, you know, I've never spoke to Frank Warren, so I'm not sure that would have worked very well, but I've now met with George Warren and tend to be, touch wood, getting on pretty well. I think we're kind of putting that to the side and saying, look, we've got a chance here to do something special. We're up against it time-wise. The broadcasters have got to have their conversation, but we'd like to get it done. We both would like to get it done. So
percentage-wise,
I hate that
question.
question.
What would you say, percentage-wise?
Look, I think when we got the contract, maybe 90-10 the other way. But I think we're in the positives now of making that fight happen. Whether it's 70%, whether it's 80%, things can change very quickly. All of a sudden someone gets injured, or someone needs a bit more time, or Tyson Fury wants to fight someone else. It worries me a little bit that Mohamed Char's coming out saying I'm fighting Tyson Fury on December 3rd, but maybe that's just a backup, and everybody on AJ's team is now committed to making that fight. No one's saying, oh, don't do it, don't. Like we're saying, he's training now for Tyson
December
Fury.
the 3rd.
Yes.
Right.
All right, Ed, thanks very much. Lots to look forward to. We'll be chatting across the way in tomorrow from 1 o'clock in the city centre. If you're local, you are more than welcome to join us ahead of a big night on Saturday Night Live in Nottingham. Thanks for your company this afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow.
There's a rivalry there. He wanted this fight. He called me out.
Maxie has tried to get out the fight a few times.
Who do you think you are?
I know. I've boxed at a higher calibre than he has.
Coming up 2 weight divisions to challenge me, the #1 guy in the UK.
I'm better than him in every single department.
It's just giving me that fire.
I don't know where he's getting all this confidence from.
This is my division, this is my belt.
And then me.
Hopefully he turns up September 24th and we'll just have a good scrap.